On this episode of Katie Makes Stuff...
Look at this wall. Look at how naked this is. Let's do something about it.
For this project, I wanted to do something kind of Dungeons and Dragons themed. So I think what I'm going to do is start with a basic shield shape. And I want the background of that to be some sort of dark color. For the center, I want a lighter colored circle so that I can put the outline of a D20 in the center. Now, in order to get that outline, I'm going to need to use my Cricut, but I know I've got some black fabric that I want to use for that. I'm going to put a pocket at the top of this and quilt it down to give it a little more interest. For the circle, I think I want to use this poly cotton tablecloth that I thrifted. And I know I want the background to be darker. So I have a foresty green that might be a good choice. But this is kind of a wool blend, and that might be a little too bougie for this. But I do have some blue cotton down here in the bottom that I think I'm going to try instead. For the supplies, I'll need my center fabric, background, and outline fabric. I'm going to draw some patterns, and I'll need a ruler and scissors, my Cricut and a mat, and some fusible webbing. Trust me, it's in the box. So let's make the patterns for this. I want the final shape to be fairly substantial, something 24 to 30 inches that will stand out on a wall, but still be able to go through my sewing machine without making all of my hair go gray. The pattern making process is probably a lot easier without Oscar's help, but it's definitely more fun with it. If this is a project you want to try for yourself, I'm just using contractor paper because it's large and super cheap. The whole roll, I think, costs 15 bucks. Here I'm just ironing the fusible webbing onto my black fabric that I'm going to use for the D20 outline, and then I'll cut it out and send it through my Cricut so that hopefully I don't have to cut it out by hand. So, slight problem, other than that chucklehead. It didn't cut through the fabric at all. It's a good size. I think I'm just gonna peel all of this off and run it with the regular knife and hope it doesn't break everything in the world. Disaster a little bit. It cut through it, but it dragged everything around with it. Alright. We'll try something else. It's done! I had to hand cut all of it, and that was annoying. But there it is. Now we can actually move on and be productive. So there's my circle with the outline of the D20, and it came out really good. The problem is now I have to hem all around that circle so it doesn't fray. And that makes me really nervous because hemming rounded edges is never fun. And then I have my background, and this is a curtain made out of just cotton canvas that I found. And it used to be green, and I dyed it blue, but I didn't dye it well, or at least I didn't think so at the time. But look at how cool it is. So I think it'll be really neat when I get that on top of that. So I think the next step is let's hem this out and see if I can avoid screwing that up. And then we'll put that on top of this. So let's give it a shot. I've sewn all the way around the edge, probably a 1/4 of an inch all the way around. I think what you're supposed to do is you can use that line, you fold it up like this, and then you press it. I may have to come in and snip so it lays flat, and then I think I can put it down on the backing and sew it down. So that'll be pretty exciting. On to the next one. that was easier than I thought it would be, which is really exciting. I have this strip of leftover fusible webbing, and this just goes right down the center. So I think what I'm going to do is take that off, put it on the backing, and then iron that down so that this doesn't shift too much. And then I will pin the edging down to the backing, and then I'll sew around it, and it'll be on. This is going better so far than I thought it would. I'm sure that something's going to go wrong pretty soon. All right, it's done. Well, the top is sort of done. You can see I sewed all the way around the edge. There's a few little pointy edges, like right here, right there, but it's attached and it looks so good. Here, let me back up so you can see what the whole thing looks like. There it is. That background looks so cool. Let me give it a good iron and then we'll cut out the batting. Hello, Oscar. What are you doing? Did you find a good little home? So I have this batting. You can get it on Amazon for like 15 bucks and it's twin size. And so I've already made a throw out of it, which means I have about half of it left. So I'm going to cut this out in the same shape as that and get them pieced together. Right, Oscar? Yeah. I have now put batting down underneath the backing, and I have cut the seams open on the pillowcase. I've pinned it down, and when you pin this stuff down, you have to work from the center and smoosh all the folds out. So I pinned it down, and I'm gonna cut all the way around it. I'm gonna leave a little bit at the top because I want to fold that under, and then I will send it to my machine, and then we are just about done. Ta-da! I have a little bit at the top, and I'm gonna fold this part in so that you can't see it from the front, and it'll create a nice clean seam in the back. I'm going to bind off these edges in black, so all I need is for them to be cleanly cut, as cleanly cut together as possible. Yeah, it's coming together. I started sewing this and I don't like the way that it's turning out. I don't like it. I already took some of the sewing out, some of the stitches out, because down here was just getting so, I don't know, lumpy. It's gonna take a lot longer, but I think I'm gonna hand quilt it. I've got all these nice lines that I can follow. I could probably get it quilted in a night. I'm not sure, but I don't think the machine is the way I'm gonna go.
Rather than quilt this down in straight lines, I actually decided to do something a little more organic, and I'm using these heat erasable pens to draw curvy, twisty lines that I'm just gonna follow along with a running stitch. Not only did this go way faster than I expected it to, but the end product actually looked better than I could have anticipated. I did not, however, go back over this with an iron, so my pen marks are probably still there somewhere. Oh well. In order to make sure I could put a clean binding on this, I once again took a running stitch and just went around the edge all the way around. And this will keep all the layers stuck together. I could clean them up before I added the binding. And again, this went so much faster than I thought it was going to. I think hand stitching sometimes gets a reputation for being slow and tedious, but in projects like this, it gives you so much more control over how the layers fall and stick together. And honestly, I think hand stitching is easier than machine stitching. It's at least easier to learn. Once I had all the edges basted down, I used this black polyester bias tape that I bought off of Amazon and just, once again, hand stitched it down. It doesn't need to be super durable, and an easy little felling stitch works just fine. And with that, it was done. Thank you for watching. If you have a minute to like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And tune in next time to see what else I make. Bye!